speaker. I just want to do a shout out while we're talking about media and broadcasting. We have two incredible media sponsors here, and that is Sarah Troy, the queen of podcasting, thousands of podcasts, and she is 3,000 podcasts. Okay, so you got a topic, she's got a show. She is sponsoring, as well as Tony Lontis, who is going to be one of our speakers this afternoon. Thank you so much for both. Anyone can contact them, and anyone, just say 262, they will treat you like 262 and above, and you can get on their shows, and whether it's TV or podcasting or radio, they've got you handled, and they're going to treat you well, because they would do that anyways, but you're going to get an extra little, candy in your candy bag, right? It's like go trick-or-treating twice at their house because you're part of us. I also want to share thank you to David Medonsky from Living Your Thinning Life, and Taylor from Better Than Botox. They have also sponsored, so we are very grateful, because as you know, sponsorship is important. And with that, Angel, I'm going to pass the mic over to you, and you are going to bring in our next speaker.
I am going to bring in our next speaker. We only have 4 speakers left on this summit. And I'll tell you what, we start out the day, and it's this long, right? Like this long journey that we're going to get through. And then as the speakers start to come in and pour into us, and we start to receive, and we start to have changes, and we start to fall in love with each other, right? And we're supporting each other and hanging out with each other in the chat, and we're seeing our faces here. When I just looked it up, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's almost over. And so it's like the flip side has come on. Australia has come on the line, right? I saw Tony showed up, right? Finally woke up after being in a blissful sleep. And so it's super exciting to see our Australia friends. But I'll tell you what, ladies, I'd love to see in the chat, like just some of your favorite ahas, what you love about this summit, what your favorite moments are, some of your favorite speakers, just even for you, what you're getting out of it. Let's just love on everybody else who took the time to be here today, whether it was a speaker or even just somebody in the audience. And so share those comments in the chat box. We would love to see those. I am bringing on our next speaker, Sharon Mefford. I actually got a chance to meet Sharon when she was an author in the 22 Women Entrepreneurs and History Making Couples, the first MLM or the last year's MLM book that Deb Drummond did. She has another one coming up this year, right? She always has lots of really great projects. But Sharon's a best-selling author. She's a wealth creation expert, right? So let's turn all this and let's go make some money, right? Because I do think we can make more impact when we, with more money, we can do more good and make a bigger impact into the world. Her topic is forgetting people pleasing, right? Getting, how many people pleasers do we have in the room, right? I'm a recovering, I still slide, right? She's something we don't know about Miss Sharon is she was a lifeguard and won a belly flop contest out, right? How many of your bellies just kind of started to feel? So she has a free gift for everybody, which she will talk about. And free for one person. She has a wealth creation consultation with a certificate with a private session with her, which is going to be super, super fabulous. I'm super excited to hear from Sharon today. Sharon, let's give her some love. Welcome.
Yay. Thank you, Angel. Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. Listening to everybody has just filled my cup. It's overflowing. So thank you. So a little bit about my background is for almost 30 years, I worked with non-traditional students at a high school, and I assisted them with becoming better and having a better self-image, going out, getting a job, living on their own as much as they could. And when I retired from public education. Education is still in my blood, and I still love every bit of it. But the natural flow going from a paid job to being an entrepreneur caused a lot of difficulty for me. And so when I met my coach mentor, Sandy Rutherford, who is here, things started to change. And I wasn't prepared for some of the changes. So what I'm talking about today is forgiveness. And I found out that October 7th of every year is Forgiveness Day. So my intent is to get you ready for that fabulous day. So, so I have a quote. Forgiveness can be defined as a freely made choice to give up revenge, resentment, or harsh judgments towards a person who caused a hurt, and to respond with generosity, compassion, and kindness. And when I first heard that, my whole brain just went crazy. I'm supposed to forgive somebody who hurt me and treat them nice? I don't think so. But working on it took a long time. I was looking at my past and thinking, well, I told some people, I'm sorry type thing. And so I had a coaching call with Sandy, and she asked about one that I was having a difficult time with, which was my aunt. I'll be perfectly honest and upfront with that. And what I thought it was, she didn't come to my wedding. And that just, at that time in my life, I wanted her there, and she didn't show up. And I held on to that grudge. And I told Sandy, I've forgiven her. And so Sandy goes, so tell me a little bit about your wedding. And immediately my blood pressure went up, and I just went, I can't believe. And she goes, you really haven't forgiven her, have you? And I went, no, I guess not. So I kept doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I thought it was flying by, and she asked me again, and it didn't work. So I set aside a full day. I thought, I am gonna work on this, because to me it was really important, because that's part of Sandy's 3 pillars is your self-image. And if you can't forgive people, your self-image suffers, and you're pretty much going nowhere. So I listened to, where is he? Right here, to Bob Proctor. And I listened probably for 4 hours, and then I would stop. And this one's only 2 minutes, but this is what I did.
Hello, welcome. We're going to talk about forgiveness.
Do you know, forgiving is one of the most freeing concepts anybody can ever get involved with. Most people look at forgiveness as helping the other person. Somebody hurts you, somebody does you wrong, but you're going to forgive them. You're going to be kind to them. It has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with yourself. That's really what it has to do. See, forgiveness is a cleansing concept. It's clearing the mind of all negativity, clearing the mind of anything that might go wrong. It's a very freeing concept. If you were to do some harm to me and I forgive you, you haven't got anything to do with it. It's I'm letting go of something that was bothering me, that's negative. And I don't want to hold on to that. Forgiving frees the one that's doing the forgiving. It's a phenomenal concept. Forgive means to let go of completely, abandon, let it go. Don't hold on to it. You know, if somebody does you wrong, you have to ask yourself, wonder why they would do that. There's something bothering them. They're not really trying to hurt you. It's something that's bothering them. Let it go. Just forgive it. Forgive the idea. And I guarantee you, you'll feel a lot better. I want you to think about this for a while. Click on the link below, fill in the information, and do some work on this.
Oops.
Thank you.
So after listening to that for 4 hours and going through, I finally wrote my aunt a letter, totally forgiving her, figuring out that that wasn't the beginning of my anger with her, my beating myself up because I couldn't forgive her. And then it just kind of all came together. So when Bob says it has nothing to do with the other person, when I actually talked to my aunt when she turned 93, and I had been holding on to this since I was 28, and then found out it was even before that, it had nothing to do with her. She basically said, oh, Sharon, your wedding was beautiful. She wasn't at my wedding, but she talked about my wedding. And that's when I realized that she didn't even remember my wedding. And so there was nothing to be angry about. So it also gets rid of a lot of negativity. It opened up a love for her that, wow, was so freeing. It also means that I let go of it and I abandon it. And the last 6 months of her lives, because she died shortly after she turned 93, was amazing. We talked, we had a good time. We thought of different stuff that made us laugh when I was growing up. So another friend, so that's the end of my story on that. But then my accountability partner had another story, and hers was that she had a certain trouble forgiving a certain person. And so when Sandy reminded her that it wasn't about condoning their behavior, so obviously, it's not about a legal issue. So and I think hers was, but I don't know for sure, but it's not about condoning that behavior. You still take the legal action. But she said, the person is doing the best they can with where they are. She said something clicked then. And so she accepted what happened and actually was able to express it without getting all that anger again. And so as you let go of things, your self-image comes up so much because you open up for the positive to come in. You open up for good things to come in. So there is a process to forgiveness. And one of it is you have to accept what happens. It happened. There's no denying it. There's no saying, oh, no, I must have misread the person. No, it happened. Then you need to express how you feel. And a lot of us bottle up our feelings. And I think it was Julie that said that we have to pound everything down. We're not supposed to express ourselves. We're supposed to just kind of hold it inside. So when people do things to us, we're just supposed to keep it inside. And then as you let go of your anger and resentment, that's when the feelings start to come in that you feel just amazing. So there are some strategies to go along with forgiveness. And expressing yourself through thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And sometimes it's a lot better to write it down. And then as you're writing it down, look for the positive. You're caught on the negative. And like Sandy talked about, go to the polar opposite. What is the polar opposite of that? Because you don't know what that person was thinking. You only know what your perception of what they were thinking was. And so you need to. As you cultivate an empathy for them, you're still protecting yourself because you don't have to let them know. I mean, I let my aunt know, but you don't have to let the other person know. Like Bob said, it has nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. And then it's important to move on. And the way you move on is you talk about it. And if you still have the anger issues, then you need to keep working on it. The last thing, and this is going to be a little bit shorter than I planned, but you have to forgive yourself. Okay, and there's 4 areas of that. You have to take responsibility. Forgiving yourself is sometimes the most difficult thing to do because you're so used to beating yourself up. You're so used to saying, oh, you're dumb, oh, you're stupid, oh, why did you think that? Why did you let that person do that? And you're so negative. But you have to take the responsibility of it because you allowed it to happen. Sandy talks about being on different vibrations. You're obviously on the lower vibration when you feel that way. You can also feel remorse for doing it. I'm sorry I let myself get into that situation. Then you start restoring yourself. You start building yourself back up. You start looking for the positive, the polar opposite. And then you get renewed. And that's what every woman needs to do is take time for herself, fill her cup up, and that helps you renew. So forgiveness is an important process. As Bob said, guilt and resentment are the 2 most destructive emotions that anyone can experience. Form the habit of not holding on to anything negative towards yourself or others. Carrying bad thoughts about anyone is not doing anyone any good. So forgiveness, let go and abandon. So now it's your decision to decide what is next for you. So what is next? So that's it.
Wow.
Right? I mean, that was just, that was super quick and super powerful. Like how many of us know somebody how that we know somebody, right, who's been holding on to a lack of forgiveness, right? Oh, right. Like that kind of, I think that just like when you think about this day and how all of the topics have kind of like just, I think it was Melanie saying how it's divine. Like we couldn't have planned this. We didn't cherry pick it and say, okay, we want somebody to talk about this and we're going to put it in this time. Like it didn't come together like that. And so yeah, asking for a friend, right? So having Sharon come in at this, just now after listening, especially I think after listening to Julie, right, and what she went through and how she was opening the way, and there are people in our lives that if we look back, right, we could hold a grudge, right, and yet the forgiveness is really more about ourselves. So, okay. So tell us the fabulous, great little prize that one person is going to win, Sharon.
It is a consultation with me, and that with a wealth creation. I'm a wealth creation nutritionist, so it goes body, mind, and spirit. And so a consultation and then $200 in products is the big prize. So yes.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for pouring into us, right? For pouring into us. Without, right, is there just somebody, right? Somebody you like need to have that conversation and maybe watch that video a couple of times. Anybody want access to that from Sharon? So this one's going to be an easy one, right? Because we've had a long day. So this is going to be an easy one. If you can tell us who Sharon listened to, right? Who that video was and who Sharon listened to over and over again to get through this, you need to put the name of that person along with your email address in the answer in the comments. And I'll tell you what, if you have never listened to this person, if you are not familiar with who he is and the work that he is doing, just Google him, right? Look him up. He's got a lot of great stuff on YouTube and he's got a lot of great books. He's just an incredible mentor for many of us, right? Even never having met him, but he's made an incredible impact on the personal development world. And so Sharon, thank you so much for sharing his wisdom with us today. Any final thought, any final word you want to share?
Actually, my gift to everyone is a PDF that kind of goes over forgiveness, but then there's also 2 exercises that people can do to start the process so that by the 7th of October, ready to go.
I know. I think that's beautiful. So we meet on the 8th of October, because of course we meet on the 8th of the month. And so maybe our theme might have to be all around forgiveness, right? Because they all kind of end up with some kind of theming. Unbeknownst to us happening. So we'll have to remember that, Sharon. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. So every month, right? Like we're getting a little bit closer, might have to do a little bit of work. And one thing I remember hearing is like, we don't always have to have that conversation with that person in order for the forgiveness to be complete, right? It's for you. Sometimes it does help to have that conversation, but just it doesn't always have to include that other person. Like you could write them a letter that you never deliver, right? You could record a phone call that you never actually connect, right? It's just the forgiveness is for you. And I think that helped me with something I dealt with years ago. So Sharon, it's an important topic. Thank you for bringing that to us, because when it comes to self-care and self-love, can only go so far if we're holding on to stuff. Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm just going to interrupt for just a second because when you were talking, and this is, because I know that you are health, wellness, like your mind, body, spirit. And I love how you were referencing the fact that Sandy, as much as a friend, is a coach. And I think that's just important to highlight when you're working with something like forgiveness, or you're trying to break a cycle of people pleasing. It's easy to make one step forward, 2 steps back. And I think it's important in those processes to kind of have someone that's holding you, not so much accountable, but straight up, like holding you so you have a place to fall. So, have you really forgiven your aunt? And what did it cost you to not forgive? When you talk, are you know what I wrote down? forgiveness is a form of medicine. And because I know how you are so much into health and wellness, and that's the package that you're giving, right? I think what you shared today had a lot to do with mind, body, and spirit, which has been a big theme, like Angel said, throughout this whole thing. There's been a lot of talk of intuition and gut and spirit and movement and all of that. And funny, the themes rise up, and who knows what happens when you make a theme, all of a sudden everybody's rising up. But I wanted to highlight that a little bit, because I think it is important. And a lot of us are coaches, mentors, people look up to us. I mean, one of the most powerful things that I had someone say to me once, at a time where I didn't really think anyone was looking up to me, not because I didn't have good esteem or whatever, I was just doing what I do. And it's like, you have no idea, and we have no idea how many people draw from us, whether it's a post on social media or whatever, that we really feed to. And Sharon, you remind me of one of those people that are just like, you just have great presence, and you are, you're just dedicated. You're just there. You're just really there with people. So I know we're hopping over, and we've got just 1 minute, because you're giving this beautiful gift of health and wellness. What do you do? Like, what's your business? Share.
Oh, actually, well, I inspire clients to open their gifts, to develop wealth creation plans to enhance their lives and the lives of others. And it's through various businesses that I'm part of. So,
All right.
and it even includes pets. So, and my dogs will probably be barking here pretty quick.
Right. So you're about wealth creation. I just wanted to throw
Yes.
that in there. Okay, back to you. Back to you, Angel. I just wanted to add that in, because it's such an important piece when you take on something like forgiveness, because the next layer and the next layer, and sometimes layers get really close, and then you're like, you need somebody.
Well, and you're never really finished with forgiveness. I still find myself writing the letters.
Yeah.
And having the conversations. And at times I'll open up my Zoom and just pretend I'm talking to them.
All right.
It's really interesting.
And I think it was good when Angel shared about, like, even, and you did too, about forgiving ourselves. Like, that's forgiving ourselves for hanging in there that long or holding on to it. Like, and